the Bruins take down the Islanders in Game 1, 5-2 to take a 1-0 series lead. I'm Evan Marinofsky here next to Conor Ryan. Conor, we have a real Bruins, we have a real Garden background this time.
We don't have any like Zoom backgrounds or anything like that. The real deal, which means the lighting is naturally not that great. However,
yes, the light, we'll take it. The lighting is not great, but we are here to give you the post-game breakdown. And I mean, this one was a shellacking.
Yeah, as much as like you look at that game and the way it went, where you went into the third period tied. I mean, you looked at the way that first line was playing. You figured there was going to be a salvo of goals at some point there, right? I mean, Sorokin was letting up plenty of rebound. It seemed like the Bergeron line was pretty much in a power play every time they were in the offensive zone. So it almost seemed inevitable that they were going to break through. And to not only have David Pastrnak obviously getting the hat trick, but seeing good shifts from the Krejci line. It's kind of what we mapped out when we were breaking down this series, where the Islanders, very good team, defense first team, but do they have the personnel to keep both those lines in check? I don't think they do.
So that was my thing going into this, and it showed tonight. You see, and it's like, they're a very well-structured team. Trotz has them doing the right things, the trap in the neutral zone. But it's like, do you really have the guys who can match that? The answer tonight was no. Tonight it wasn't even really ever close. And I know the score at times was 2-2 going into the third, but even then, it didn't feel close. The chances were crazy in favor of the Bruins.
Yeah, no, I mean, you look at the way that whole game went. I mean, you don't need to be a hockey analytics nerd to look at just the fact of how lopsided the shot totals were, right? Just the way it played out. So I think if you're the Bruins, you have to be very encouraged by not only what you saw there, but you also didn't have, supplementary scoring from the Coyle line or, Craig Smith, who went down with an injury. Hopefully he's back. But there's plenty of other guys that can still chip in here and contribute. And you look at the Islanders, they kind of gave them the best shot with what their tried and true method is, where, you saw a lot of the fourth line trying to match up, trying to slow guys down. Didn't work out. Like, there's only so many tricks they can pull to try to keep that top six contained. I really don't know what the route is going forward, and other than, you have to look at maybe Varlamov or something like that, like at some point. But if you're the Bruins, you have to be very encouraged by what you saw here, because I don't know how the Islanders counter with a matchup that negates them over the span of a 7-game series.
Our Bruins in 6 picks might not be looking too good after tonight. Unbelievable. You're not going to be. You might not be 2-0. Still could be, but might not be. How can we not talk about the crowd? The crowd was insane. I mean, they showed up super early. Charlie McAvoy even said he'd never seen a crowd show up that early. And we were both here for the 2019 Cup Final for all the home games. And I don't ever remember the crowd being this loud, even in Chara's standing ovation after he broke his jaw.
No, I agree. I think it's one of those ones where you look at this game, and obviously the headlines are going to be, a key playoff win, David Pastrnak getting the hat trick. But it felt like this meant a lot more than just a hockey game, more than a playoff game. To walk out on Causeway Street to see the bars packed, to see people excited, to be back in the building and have thousands of people on hand for warm-ups, to have people, singing along to all the songs.
Every song.
Every single song. The only song they didn't play was Bobby Girl, which you thought they would. I had my money down on them playing Bobby Girl, but there's obviously plenty more games down the pipeline here. But I think you look at the optics of what we saw here, where you had 17,000 fans in the building, cheering and screaming. You had, I'm sure every bar in Boston was packed watching the game. Yeah. Just for what the last 15 plus months have been, for us to get to this point, especially in this season where at the beginning of the year we had an empty building and dystopian, artificial noise pumped in, it's great to see, and hopefully it's just a sign of more positive things to come this summer.
It's crazy to think, you think back to March 2020 and you're watching these old games of these crazy crowds. You're watching the 2019 run, the 2013 run, all these runs, even in other sports, and just the craziness of the fans. And it was like, when are we getting back to that? And to be able to, for that to be tonight, and have AJ Ketta here, him being the fan banner captain, that was incredible. The crowd sang along to the anthem. It was one of those nights where this meant more than hockey. This was a lot bigger than just like game. This is really game 1 of the second round. It's not that big a deal. Like it is, but it's not really. But for all the fans here and everything, and to pull up at 5 o'clock here and see Hurricane O'Reilly's already having like a huge line, I was like, you know what? Tonight is going to be the night. And 8 p.m. on a Saturday is always usually a game you can book for like being pretty crazy. Tonight it was 10 times that. But that is game 1. Game 1 of the second round between the Bruins and the Islanders. For Bruins Rinkside, I'm Evan Marinofsky. That's Conor Ryan of Boston Sports Journal. We will see you for game 2.